Welcome to Tech Talk. My name is Nat Coco, here to go through Pocket Prompt Coach today. I've built this exclusively for clients to support them navigating how to utilize AI prompting the easy way. And through this process today, we'll go through examples, brainstorm any troubleshooting live that you might have, and then we'll just go to the floor from there. So welcome to the Tech Talk. David, it's your first time here. Apple, seen you before. Levy, seen you before. So we'll just jump straight into it. So David, before I go into the actual Pocket Prompt, what's your experience with AI? And then we can build from there, and we'll go around the room, see where everyone's at.
Yeah, good question. So obviously when it came along, I was interested in its ability to streamline some specific work cases.
Yeah.
And because I deal in compliance with ISO and those sorts of things, management systems, that was my interest. I'm halfway through getting my accreditation to become a ISO 42001 AI management system auditor.
Oh, that sounds fancy.
Yeah, that sounds fancy. And basically that's just taking the international standard that they've come up with for AI and making sure that businesses apply that stuff, which is around the, the very basic things that we would expect an organization to do when using AI, such as transparency, where the human intervention is, where those checks and balances are, and transparency so that customers know what's happening with their information.
Yeah, cool.
But it doesn't go into the specifics of how to design and set it up. So I often tell people, if you think from an auditor's perspective, if I audit someone that's doing something, or NADA needs to go in to confirm that their measurements or their process is accurate, I sort of understand it. But when computers first came around, NASA had a whole room full of smart people double checking the computers.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at with AI, is we can see an end result, but from a governance point of view, how did it get there and how do we know that that answer is accurate? With Excel, we can see the formula. And we can do the formula by hand or with a calculator and confirm that it's got the right answer.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the high level look that an auditor will do. Day to day, I use Copilot Business, which has the ability to switch between work and web.
Yeah, right.
So then that ensures that anything I'm doing stays within my tenancy and doesn't leave.
Cool.
But, it's Microsoft, so it's incredibly difficult to use. They don't make things easy.
You've got more familiarity with Copilot than what I have, so I'm always open and keen to learn what other people know as well. So that's okay, no problem. And
that's about it.
That sounds pretty extensive to me. I want to pick your brain about the auditing and compliance, but that's probably a discussion for outside of this. So thank you for sharing that, David. Apple, what's your experience with the use of AI to date?
We usually use AI for a quick solution. For example, a client asks for a certain, if this possible, something like that in HubSpot. So we use AI and check if it's possible. And then from that, we implement what's AI or ChatGPT provide that solution.
Yeah, cool.
And also, we use ChatGPT as well for creating images, but sometimes it's not accurate. Like there's a text like a wrong spelling, something like that. So that's what I want to know later on on how you can train it.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And so with the AI in the HubSpot, are you pulling references from the HubSpot resources and checking that it's accurate, or what's your experience with that? You are?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. To the image creation one, just a little bit of food for thought. I've been doing my own research task on this and how the AI programs are built and the default response. So I can certainly talk to that in another session as well. But ultimately, the bias, the default bias for outcomes, and I don't really care about gender in this respect, but I was curious to see why AI was producing predominantly masculine images of humans when I directed it to. And so my hypothesis was, and still to be confirmed, that the data source that it's trained on is predominantly masculine features. And so I've actually been doing a research on that, Apple, and to see the outcomes there. And so without going into too much of a rabbit hole with that, I thought, okay, cool. Now I'm going to actually learn and understand how the image, specifically the image creation models, are built and what are the default settings. Because the more we understand that, well, the more I understand the default settings, the better outcomes and the more consistency we can get. And so far, my hypothesis is proving to be accurate, but of course there's still room for change and learning scope there. So the reason the default is having troubles with, say, text in the images is that it's not trained to be a graphic designer at the level of the public use. However, my encouragement, if you want to be adding text, is to have your image and then put the text in an overlay and say a program, and then you'll get the consistency, more likely to get the consistency. But again, that's me semi-rabbit holing, but there's a reason why that happens. So yeah, that's just deconstructing the process. Okay, beautiful. Levy, have you got anything that you'd like to share about your AI usage?
Yeah, as Apple have mentioned, had mentioned, yeah, we're using AI as our guide to something, like especially when we are trying to like troubleshoot codes. Yeah, especially it's very useful when it comes to like codes, because I am currently working close with Hill and he's using it to debug codes. Most of the time, which we all know that AI is not perfect. Most of the time, like the AI's suggestion is not accurate. But however, the big help here is that the idea is there. So like we're just kind of like, you know, revising it a little bit. But the main point is that the AI is giving us the idea on how to execute it properly.
Beautiful. And what platform are you using for the getting the bug errors or correcting those? Are you using what platform are you using for that?
Oh, Zapier codes, and then something about HubSpot workflow codes.
Yep. But are you using OpenAI, Anthropic?
Oh yeah, it's just ChatGPT.
Okay, cool. Are you using the non-paid version or the paid version?
It's the non-paid actually.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. I'm just very curious to see where the levels are, the results that you're experiencing there. And the Pocket Prompt Coach that I am sharing today could be supportive, and it can be used on the non-paid version. I made sure of that. And we can ultimately use it to troubleshoot some of the issues that you may be having. I'm not going to promise you anything that it's 100% accurate, because we know that there's a disclaimer that it could be inaccurate. So I will jump into that now if you guys are happy to rock and roll, and then I'll give you access, of course. All right. So I'll just follow a couple of little side hacks for myself for today's session. All right, so the Pocket Prompt Coach, I built this for context with the clients that I work with, whether it's in branding, LinkedIn training, or how to use AI effectively, or building solutions. So literally I noticed when, even for myself, prompting was becoming a challenge for people, and I wanted to be able to overcome that with a fast and effective solution. So the fast and effective solution ultimately came from the getting inconsistencies with the output and wanting to reduce that personally for myself, if I'm being a little bit selfish, and then other people benefit from it. So I thought, well, what is a prompt in respect to using AI? Ultimately, it's a form of communication that we give it a set of instructions and then we get a response. Now, the challenges and maybe raise your hand if you've experienced this, that you may have got some inconsistencies or even delusional outputs from AI. I don't know about you, but I certainly have. But, yeah. Has anyone experienced inconsistency? I mean, I love you just mentioned it before, but David, how about yourself? Apple?
Yeah, and it's I often like to have, 4 or 5 of the AIs open. So there's Copilot, which I can use within my tenancy, so it'll extract data out of the files and emails I've got, which is good. Then I've got the normal Microsoft Copilot. Then I'll have Bard, Grok, ChatGPT, Claude.
Yeah, so you're comparing?
Yeah, and it's always good to see the different responses. And I think it was Levi who mentioned it, particularly around ideation. Like, I often find starting things is the most difficult part. So even when I was doing my master's at uni, it would be like, right, give me 20 ideas on this thing, and then I would pick them and then roll with it, rather than trying to sit there and come up with a bunch of ideas to start with. And I tend to find that works good, but it does hallucinate because a lot of it tends to be ChatGPT with a bow tie, like it's just a large language model and not purpose designed for what I need. And then, as you said, it really then comes down to the prompt. So if I'm doing something more than just getting some ideas, often I'll use them against each other to be like, generate a prompt if this is what I want to do, so that I get a better prompt and I don't have to correct it as often.
Yeah, awesome. That's great feedback as well. I think the complexity of prompts really comes down to our understanding how to use AI, whether whatever platform that you're on, and understanding if you're talking about, and I'll show you the Pocket Prompt in a moment and give you time to play with it live, is that if you start off saying, how is a pen made, and then start talking about apple crumble recipes, and then you move down to how does my phone work, and then you talk about got random shit on how does this walkie-talkie work. Of course, if you've got one of these on your desk, right, it's going to start potentially, I like to say delusional, but they call it a brain lapse. Pardon?
Hallucination.
Yeah, hallucination. Yeah, delusion, hallucination. And so the reason it does that is because it's got too much context and it's fighting. This is just my way of explaining. It's fighting for the right information because it's just had apple crumble, pens, apples, walkie-talkies, and it's not really necessarily sure what you're trying to get out of the conversation. In addition to that, there are token limits in the use of a chat platform. So I think it's 128,000 token limit per chat on, and these change very frequently. So don't hold me to that number. But if you've reached your limit, it only memorizes the tokens that are there that have been used. So it's just going to keep drawing from the apple crumble when you want to talk about teacups now. So that's what can happen in the use case. So my rule of thumb that I like to follow is having a specific chat to get a specific outcome. And there's so much that goes behind the chat, how to not only prompt effectively, but to get the effective outcomes. And I've got I've called it a GPT Bible on how to sort of achieve that, which is ultimately, I think we've got about 120 pages of that now, as in, that's just my brain dumping things and then getting AI to help me organize it. So enough chit chat on that. I'll show you the Pocket Prompt. Screen. Cool. All right, just let me know what you can see on the screen.
Pocket Prompt Coach.
Yep, Tech Talk exclusive. Awesome. All right, so ultimately, without overcomplicating it, the way I'm going to encourage anyone using the Pocket Prompt Coach is to ultimately ask what you normally would ask, saying, hey, I need a marketing plan, or hey, I need to know what, the color this ink is, or something like that. And I want to start off as simple as that, because I would like to give the opportunities for beginners to be able to just try and use it without thinking too hard. And so that's how I would start with it. So I'm going to go through an example of a crap prompt, and it says, give me some ideas for using AI. The problem with this, it's too broad, no context, and a generic list. But I'm just going to enter that for the purpose of the example. So what Pocket Prompt does now is, with minimal context, is give me 10 ways I can use AI to improve marketing, customer service, or something like that. And so now you could use this as your prompt rather than give me 10 ideas for using AI. So this now will talk you through the process, why this is better. I might change the language, but I'm going to change that to why it's more effective. Specific, business context, helps tailor, and then budget conscious and practical. So examples for ideas: small business owner, it shows it there. So now let's compare that same prompt into just a normal chat GPT. So let me bring that up. And I'm going to put it into a browser that is not linked to my account. And I'm doing that because my AI is very highly trained, or it's got a lot of memory and data on how I talk. So it's probably going to give a pretty good response. So I want to get a chat GPT that is not biased towards, there we go, here's a new one. So let me show you. Okay. Present something else. Is everyone following this so far? Okay. All right, awesome. So I'll grab that same prompt, give me some ideas for using AI. Cool. So this is just a generic response, which I don't know about you, but if you're if you're a beginner, this would confuse the F out of you, saying, well, what does that mean? So it's not giving us any context. So go back to the Pocket Prompt now. Awesome. So now what I'm going to do to improve this prompt, which I use my own Pocket Prompt to create, something I prepared earlier. I'm going to say, great, here is a new revised prompt I'd like you to review. So again, it's a fairly generic example, but I wanted to share with you something that if a beginner is watching this, they can compare, saying, give me some ideas for using AI, using a Pocket Prompt Coach, or using ChatGPT on a bland, non-trained model. Well, sorry, it's trained, but as in the context of who you are and how you talk with it. So would you like me to share the link for this Pocket Prompt Coach now so you can try this live? And then, or would you like to ask your question to me and then we can do your question live, sharing screen?
Yeah, I suppose with this Pocket Prompt, is it already pre-programmed with a particular personality in mind, or do we enter details that it'll then use to frame the answers?
So this particular Pocket Prompt Coach is trained on my personality. So I trained it for for my clients based on how I would speak with clients, in the sense of kind, generous, encouraging, but it's specifically built for marketing, content creation. How do I prompt effectively? But we could test the boundaries, because at the end of the day, it's still backed by the open AI database of information. So yes, you could certainly ask it compliance questions just to see and test the waters, right? As in, like, draw me. So I might just do this live because I'm curious. So I'm very curious about what you said about the auditing AI usage. So, man, I want you to like rip this thing apart, to be honest. That was great. So can I get a specific example, David, something that you might want support in improving your prompts, and then we can try that?
Oh, good question. I was just curious as to, I suppose, what topic I should ask the Pocket prompt. And the marketing and content generation is actually a good one, because I need to create another web page.
Yep. Okay, cool.
And I use HubSpot, so
yeah, cool.
It'll be perfect, and then that way I can sort of
all right
too much.
Okay, beautiful. So what I'll do is I will give you a link to the Tech Talk Pocket Prompt Coach, and let me restrict it. Oh, actually, comment. Okay, so let me put this into this. I'll share this in the chat link now, guys. And can someone please type me a message in the chat? For some reason I can never find it. Oh, legend, thank you. Cool. So if you could click on this share link. And you could even start with that question, David, as in, what question can I ask you, Pocket Prompt Coach? And then ideally, if I've trained it correctly, I've built it correctly, it should then guide you saying, what would you like to know, David? Like, what are you struggling with, David?
See it load up.
Well, we've got an anonymous dingo and hedgehog who are looking at the document. Great. So the link is the, I'll just share my screen. All right, cool. Can everyone put a thumbs up in the chat, or just a yes in the chat once you've got access to that GPT, please?
Ah, there it is.
Got it?
Yep.
I might just change the words to it saying, click this, click here for Pocket. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, I think I gave you the wrong one.
The link is the long video, but if you just copy the chat GPT link and paste it.
Yeah, I'll just, there you go, guys. There you go. Now, the only thing I ask is not to share that link outside of the session here today. And that's, at the end of the day, an honesty and trust system. I will be removing that GPT in 6 weeks because I update it every 2 weeks. So
I wasn't quick enough to remember the Chinese AI. I was just going to say I've just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I've used that one.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's it was so inconsequential that I didn't even, what's it called? Oh, I've used it, but I thought it was useless. So
I don't even have TikTok. Like
yeah, I think, you know, when I said it was useless, I did some basic work on it, and it struggled to get me the results fast enough for me to stay on there. DeepSeek, I think, is it DeepSeek AI? DeepSeek. Yeah, that was the one. I've tried Grok as well. I'm not super impressed with that at the moment, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, Elon's a strange guy.
Pretty intelligent, but yes, we've all got our unique quirks, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I drive a Tesla, and I think he's great
Yeah,
being in charge of companies, because who else is going to push people when they say we can't do something?
I love that. Yeah, pushing the limits.
Well, and I did a job for a guy, and his mate worked for Elon. And he said he would often just approach problems when the engineers would say, oh, we can't do this. He's like, why? And they'd be like 1, 2, and 3. He's like, why can't we do 1? Oh, these 5 things. What about 2? These 3 things. What about 3? 12 things. Okay, focus on 2. Let me know when you're done. And then when they got those 3 things done, he'd be like, right, now, which one are we going to focus on now?
Yeah.
And if it was 6 things under 1, he'd be like, right, focus on this one. Everyone's job in the company is to focus on this thing. And then we're going to focus on this thing. And he just, he said people would even turn around and go, that's going to cost too much. And he's like, money is not an issue. Solve my problem.
Yeah, so, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good to.
That thinking, that way of thinking of nothing is not, it's not insolvable. It's like you can solve a problem.
Yeah.
You can solve a problem with those resources. Yeah.
And that's what I do like. So he was specifically on the Model 3 project, and Elon had in his head that he needed 1,200 vehicles a month, and they were out like 600. And so he got there, fired 3 engineers, and then was like, I'll be back in a month, 1,200. And so this guy, the factory could only handle 5, so he created a whole bunch of like temporary tentage type stuff next to it, and had 2 production lines. And he was out like 1150, and he goes, I'm going to come back in a month. If it's not at 1,200, everyone's fired. And they got it because he told them to stop doing the quality assurance on the cars, because the customers will tell us if something's wrong, we need 1,200. And it was for whatever financial reason to get, you know, economy of scale or whatever it was out the door. But I mean, who else is going to push people like that?
Yeah.
And he pushes himself as well. I mean, he slept in a factory under a desk.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, he's a pretty humble dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he should be snooping around governments, though. That's.
and we'll leave that for a different discussion today. Look, I think you and I could have a very, very deep conversation about all these different topics, and I think it would be amazing. And in line for the tech talk, I think, you know, let's talk about some pocket prompt coaching, see if there's anything that missing that I can support you live. Otherwise, we can go down the rabbit hole. I'm very keen. Like I'm holding myself in like my chair not to go there right now.
No, well, it's come up with a pretty good prompt for what I need.
Yeah. But the thing is, like with the pocket prompt coach, this one solves a particular challenge that SMEs, individuals, groups, I've got non-for-profits using it, and they're using it for multiple different. Oh, great! You're sharing your screen.
Yeah, so that was HubSpot webpage all about WISP, obviously the industry I'm in, and it's come up with a good one.
Okay, cool. So now what I'd like you to do is challenge this prompt by saying, is there anything that I may have missed in my question to get me a I want you to challenge the prompt itself. So just say, have you missed anything, or have you And so before you hit enter, what I'd like you to do is in this prompt,
Yep.
ask it to ask you 5 questions to be specific about what you're chasing. So that's what I'd like you to write after this. And so just in addition to this, no, leave that there.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, leave that there. You can put a full stop, doesn't really matter. Yep. These things are, please ask me, let's just say three questions to help you create a more effective prompt for my desired outcome, or something like that. Because at the moment it's still drawing from very basic create a prompt for a new HubSpot web page all about DISP, right? And just hit enter.
Great catch.
You just can scroll down. Okay, here we go. So then you would, if you're not happy with the questions, you could then ask it, say, hey, I'm not happy with these 3 questions. Yeah. So for anyone watching right now, this on the replay, what David's doing is refining his input even further. So the Pocket Prompt Coach has a better opportunity to provide a more tailored response and prompt that he can use.
Excuse my terrible spelling.
Oh, I don't even worry about spelling mistakes in this, even though, which is kind of like a bit of a hypocrite statement, because with AI we need to be very specific, but it's too smart to not correct our mistakes. So and before you hit enter, I want you to put, there's one more thing I'd like you to put in there.
Yeah.
So just let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
Okay, excellent. What I'd like you to do is also instruct the GPT or the chat is to please provide the resource material where it's getting its information from. Because I want to make sure that it's actually drawing from facts, not just potential data stacks or data stored. And then say with the URL link. Yep. Yep. So I like to get very granular, saying, please provide the resource link that you're getting this from. So that way, when you are fact checking or checking the information and you go onto the government website and hopefully, you know, it's all compliant, is that it's drawing from that information. Okay, cool. So if we go back up to the very top, your very first question. Okay, so the first question is create a prompt for a new HubSpot web page all about DISP. And then it says the prompt, generate an SEO optimized website for HubSpot, da, 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 da. So now as we go down the conversation, it was missing something. So it then refined the prompt. So you keep going further, David, keep scrolling. Pardon?
Oh yeah, I was just talking to myself, the refined prompt, the 3 questions.
Yep. So then we go even further, key questions. You said all levels, great. And so now we will check this prompt saying generate an SEO optimized HubSpot web page defense industry, DISP, emphasizing security, content, DISP membership. So what you would do, like what I would encourage, if like this is me, I'd look through the saying, has that covered everything that I think should be on this page or not? If not, I'd then say, all right, cool, it's missing X, Y, Z, hit enter. If you're happy with it, you could then go scroll further down and say, hey, I'm happy with this. Can you now please, I'm jumping here, but I think there is actually a GPT that will build the code for you that would build the HubSpot page without having to build the page, and you could edit it. But let's just say you don't.
I did a thing with Pate on one of the.
What's that? Sorry.
I was watching a Lunch in a Mess with Pete Liston.
Yeah.
And I had some content guru on talking about websites.
Yep.
Oh, was it that, or was it the King's Trust? Anyway, I use HubSpot, and you know the template is like, oh, optimize for mobile. So I've never really tested it because you know they are selling it that it's optimized for mobile. And they said, I'll just check to make sure it is. And when I had a look, my menu icon was disappeared on phone, which means for the last 2 years, anyone looking for my website would have got to my homepage on their mobile phone, but not been able to navigate anywhere.
Yeah, that sucks.
I was like, God damn it. So,
yeah. All right. So what do you think your next step would be from here, David? So
I would put that prompt into a clean GPT, so it's not going back to the other one.
Yep.
And I would probably try it across a couple of different sources to sort of see what it does.
Yeah, the different output. Yeah. Cool.
And then I would probably keep all them open while I've got my HubSpot account open, and then start putting that in and seeing what it looks like. And then with any issues I had, I would then drill down onto that further. So if particularly with the integration for the other standards, like I would personally want more detail in that, because that's a service I provide. So I'd go into more detail about how it links up and the benefits.
Yeah, beautiful.
But
yeah, that's cool. And so what I would also, if it was me, I would then ask GPT in a different, like just a general chat, or one of my other GPTs that I've built specifically for research, saying, hey, can you find me, are there any hacks? And I just use, my own terminology. Are there any hacks that I could take this information and then upload it into HubSpot without having to build it myself, so I could just edit it? And that's what I would do, because I want to save myself time, and I want to say, well, what is my desired outcome, and do I want to build it myself? If it's a one pager, sometimes or a landing page, I'll just do it myself, because it's like bang, 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 and I'd spend more time working it out. But if I know that I'm going to repeat that task, say, look, to be honest, these kind of tasks I like to outsource to people who are way better at, they're more efficient than I am. So, but if I'm going to repeat the task, I'll just ask AI, say, hey, it's a repetitive task. Is there an automation or something that I can use that's going to build this for me?
Yeah.
Because then I can get it to create a visual. Because then it's if the task is like, it might take you an hour or it might take you 3 hours to automate it, are you going to use the automation again? Yes or no? If it's a no, well then
I still have to do it. It's like an Excel spreadsheet. I'll spend 10 hours on an Excel spreadsheet to save myself 1 hour, in the hope that I'll have to do that same thing again one day.
And with Excel spreadsheets, right, you can put them in, and depending on the data sensitivity, so let's just be aware of this, is that an example, I had 2,000 contacts, and I made sure it was in a secure AI space for myself, but I needed to compare the two lists and like, am I missing any from the left and the right? So I put both Excel spreadsheets in as a file and got it to compare it for me, and said, oh, it's missing these 3 items. I opened the spreadsheets just because I was just testing it, and it was bang on. I was like, shit, That's pretty cool. Now I know you can link in different platforms, you can link your drives and files to the AI models. I'm very hesitant to do those sorts of things, but you can do that. But it's amazing, like just to like a quick troubleshoot.
Yeah, and that Copilot one for finding stuff.
Yep.
I'm forever knowing that I've got something somewhere, but
Yep.
not knowing where that something is.
Yeah, and you find it's useful.
Yeah, because I'll just ask it.
Yeah.
I find all the details related to, Nat from Coco, and it will pull up an email from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Any files,
Yep.
all of it, and then I'm like, that's the thing I'm after.
Yeah. And so, you can ask a normal, and I'll refer to ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT to say, how would I do this, or how would I approach this? Or you could ask a pocket prompt coach saying, hey, how do I use Copilot to do this? And so it really is limited to your imagination.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of Copilot. Well, I'm paying for it, but it's Microsoft do not make anything easy. So I often have to, even for Microsoft specific stuff, I ask Copilot, it gives a Microsoft answer. And I'm like, that's why I don't ask it Microsoft stuff. Like I'll ask GPT or something else because it gives a much more user-friendly answer.
Yeah. Yeah. And with those type of questions, if they're regular, what I tend to do, I like to name my chats on the left, or I'll export the chats and save them into a file system. So if I'm,
right.
Pardon?
Yeah, right. No,
Yeah.
Now that you've said it, I see why that makes sense, but I would never have thought that.
Index, right? So after a sales call, and now we're going on all different topics, but how I'm using the pocket prompt and AI is that same with me. I'm looking for something, I know it's there. So what I've been doing for myself is I'm exporting the chats into a PDF format, or just copy pasting it, and I put it into a drive, and now I've got a discombobulated, systemized way of searching for things. And then I just go search, and then it brings up the GPT file, because I'll have the topic that I was talking about. So like tech talks, I could type into tech talk, and this isn't even going extensive AI or automated. I'll just go into my drive and go tech talk, this reference. So I did that for Pocket Prompt Coach for today's sessions, because I've already supported clients in using Pocket Prompt Coach. So I'm like, why would I recreate something again? So I just went like that, and I was like, okay, cool. But I wanted to make sure with the Pocket Prompt Coach is that the Tech Talk exclusive, I can see how many chats have been used on it. So that the reason I duplicate or share the link as I am is that I'm putting time limits on the use of the GPT, because we have paying clients who have different versions of this. So I segment that, and I've chosen not to put a user interface on it, because it would be an ineffective use of my time and resources to create a pretty old interface when you can just use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
In that respect.
And that was always the worst thing in the army, when they create a system for us to use, but then they don't use the normal vernacular.
Yeah.
So files, they called something else. And I was like, why would you call a folder something different than a folder? Why give it a unique name? Because now I don't know how to talk to it.
Yeah. And same, like when I was in the Navy, same thing. It's all these different terminology. Just
So if
give
you're in
it
the Navy, I've got to go.
dirty digger.
Yes. Bloody Pongo.
Yeah. The banter. So with the Pocket Prompt Coaching, Apple, Levy's not here. I think he jumped off a while ago. Do you have any questions, Apple, that I could support you in this session?
No, I will look at it and start using it.
Cool. And just to message me with any questions. I'll check the Slack channel in that respect. And David, same with yourself. If you want to have even a half an hour session with half an hour, 45 minutes on the house with me, just to have a chat about those prompts or things, things like that, you're more than welcome to just let me know.
Yep.
But yeah, so yeah, the purpose of this is just to give value, and if I can support people along the way with the solutions that I created for myself, well then happy days.
Well, that's it. Because it's like I tell people within the defense industry, you know, like a rising tide lifts all boats. There's enough money out there for everyone. But I'm always surprised about how little some people want to help. It's like, sorry, I just plugged it into Claude, that prompt. Claude's doing a really good job.
With the output that you're after?
With the response, so I used, you know, your app to generate it.
I love Claude, so I think
its response.
Claude's writing is, I believe, from experience, far more fluent, and I love it because it swears like a sailor with me. It goes, yeah, that's a fucking great idea, or it says something that's in the language. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Like, it's just given far more detail than what GPT has.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find that the fluidity is pretty awesome. Do you know how I love AI so much? It's so much fun. Have you tried creating a dashboard in Anthropic Claude? So if you go onto that, you could say reply in Claude, say, hey, can you put this into so in the chat on the left, reply to Claude.
Yeah.
Can you say, can you please put this into a landing page, web layout with tabs on the left? I'm just curious, like I would improve that prompt, but just for the purpose of the experiment. Put layout.
Page layout.
With clickable tabs for me. Now, again, that's a really great example of a non-substantial prompt, but it will do the trick.
Can I put that in the app?
Yeah, absolutely. And so just make sure you put it in a new Pocket Prompt Coach discussion. Say, hey, can you please improve this? I want to use it for Claude to create a layout.
Yeah, is it? Oh, it's on that page. There we go.
Yeah, cool.
So new chat.
I'd put it in a new chat, yes.
Where is new chat?
So you can just click on, new chat. Oh, look at you nailing it. And I like to ask AI to ask me questions if it's not sure, so it gets more clarity. But for the purpose of a quick example, we probably don't need to. But I'll be specific and say it's for Anthropic Claude. Yeah. Because, oh, here we go. There we go. This is just me geeking out, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so just copy that, like, let's, for the purpose of, because we're going to wrap up shortly. So copy the whole thing. Even the bullet points that were under it.
Oh, including the bullet points?
Yes, please. Just copy the whole thing. Yeah. Yep. Perfect. And then, cool. And then hit enter. Yep. Okay.
Oh, shit.
This is really cool. I've actually made a 3D game on Claude, as in like walking around the room, and I used the keyboard. I said, I want to be able to view that. And I was just experimenting. I saw there's this AI, like this lady who is, her name's Ali Kay, and she's just a ninja with AI. So I watched, I don't know, 3 minutes of the video, and I created a game, or like the layout of a game, an office room, and then I had graffiti wall, but it looked like a serial killer room. Okay,
was
so
awesome.
pardon?
I said that was awesome.
What was?
The how it wrote the code, and now it's
Oh, yeah.
sort
So
of told me what it looks like.
yes, it is, but it's done something wrong here. Be like, look, this doesn't look like a clickable website for me. I want to, actually click on that one, maybe the artifact that's on the right there. Okay.
It does have, I think they're meant to be clickable.
Yeah, just let it know saying, hey, the links aren't clickable and it doesn't look like a website or an app. I do this stuff for fun, by the way. Like, see what you can do. Links are not clickable and it doesn't look like a website. It looks like a Word document. So I work with a solution architect and we build, well, he builds extensive things, but we build like apps, clickable apps in just to see what it would look like.
Yeah, I've got a joint venture with another business, and he's got like a software as a service thing that he provides. So I've just been providing lots of my stuff in spreadsheets because I just thought everything worked on spreadsheets. And he's like, no. I've got nerds that have to write like the code that's coming up on the screen, line by line. And I'm like, oh.
Okay, so this has failed. So let's just say, hey, you failed. Put it in a user-friendly app. Just put, again, very limiting prompts, but it's just experiment. We're just experimenting. I was like, why aren't we getting the outputs that I get?
I think because of the original one was website.
True. But in saying that, I've been able to use similar extension, like similar prompting, and had a website that looks freaking awesome. But there's heaps of AI. Okay. This is a really great example of failing not that you failed, but as in not getting the desired outcome really quickly. So what I would do is I would pause and be like, Nat, what have you done? And then I'd say, okay,
this is rushing and not taking time with the prompt.
Exactly, yeah. So this is a great example of how not to try and get a quick result where you've got 3 minutes left and you want to show the team or the audience or the crew of what can be done, and it's not been done properly.
I know that was an app to help with my prompt.
Yeah, I know, right? So the great example of what not to do, I might make that my next tech talk of doing, or I'll make my next one doing dashboards in Claude. But I'm curious now, if you allow me the time, can you say, please just put this in the dashboard, forget about the website? Again, this is a rush response. Please don't try this at home. So I'm just confusing it and making it hallucinate. So okay, take 3,221. If this fails, let's just do it in the next tech talk. And I'll plan it out so you can try it yourself. I love watching the code on the screen.
Mm.
Nah, fail. That's okay.
Hey.
Soak.
I do like a spider web graph.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Okay. Don't try this at home, kids.
Mm.
Okay. You can stop sharing your screen for now. That's right. definitely went down a bit of a fun rabbit hole that failed, but that's okay. All right.
Yeah, I like it.
Awesome. You get the context of which I speak, though, so that's cool. All right. What is something that has been useful for yourself today, David? And what are you going to try?
Reinforcing that to take that battle pause and make sure that if you're using AI, ensure the prompt, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah. Cool. Is that from the last 5 minutes?
No, it's just, data analytics in general. If you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So
Awesome.
take the time to put the right data in.
Yeah. And how do you see yourself attempting to use Pocket Prompt for your business?
I'm hoping I can finish that web page off before I've got to go pick the kids up from school.
Okay, cool. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Happy days. You got it. All right. How about yourself, Apple?
Well, I can use it or train it more effectively. Like how would how would like to get the answers
Mm-hmm.
instead of just popping it the question.
Yep. Cool. And what I'd encourage you to do, if you want to do that, is ask Pocket Prompt to give you some help, saying, hey, I want to use it more effectively. How can I ask you questions? And get it to see what it comes up with.
Yeah.
And there should be a disclaimer after every response that this is an AI response. So if it doesn't, please let me know, because then I'll reprogram it so it does. Cool. All right. Well, it's been a bit of fun. I do love talking with you guys and learning about how you're using it. And I've taken a few tips and tricks away how I might like to explore, maybe try and co-pilot a little bit more effectively. So might give that a crack. Might.
Do you use Microsoft?
Not really.
Well, then it's probably not going to be that useful.
Well, it's useful because I'm curious when I'm having a conversation about AI. Copilot does come up a lot. So from a curiosity perspective, I'm keen to explore it. That's why I tried DeepSeek. That's why I've tried Grok. That's why I play with different platforms. So,
The interoperability with Copilot to the suite. So I can take a document, jam it in PowerPoint. I can just ask Copilot, create it off this file.
Yeah, cool.
And it does the pictures, the words, and the speaker notes for me. And then I just go through and spend half hour to an hour fixing it rather than spending 10 hours making it.
Yeah, and that's a massive time save.
Even lawyers have spoken to me and went, how do you suggest I charge people? Considering I used to write something and it would take me 8 hours, but now it takes me 10 minutes.
Well, you still charge for the outcome. That's it.
And that's what I said. I was like, stop thinking like a lawyer and charging every 6 minutes. Just charge for a product. If you want me to do a thing, the thing costs this much.
Yeah, exactly. And it's for the outcome.
Yeah. Bloody lawyers.
Pardon?
Bloody lawyers.
I'm teaching some lawyers how to use AI effectively, so that's interesting.
Yes, always check that it's real. Unlike the lawyer in the States who tried to use something as case law and it didn't exist.
Don't try that at home, kids. AI email, but it's the one that is most visited. If you want to reach out, David, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm super keen to hear about the auditing and the AI accreditation, because
that's where
being AI aware and savvy and being able to use it is very different to being accredited in AI, and who's accrediting the AI component. So I'm very keen to hear about that if you're open to sharing that.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things, the more people know, the better everyone can be. So nothing I could say is going to change anything. It's just, it's a very new standard that's been released. But as more businesses go to use it, I think people are going to start getting more concerned about how it's being used.
Oh, 100%. Like and knowing that it's being used before we even knew AI was a buzzword.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Because I don't know if you know this about me, but I was anti using AI like 4 years ago. I was like, yuck, I'm not touching that. And now I literally use it in my sleep. Well, kind of in my sleep, right?
Yeah, so many people were the same. Like that company I've got the joint venture with. He's started as privacy and information security management. So he was like, nah, don't touch it. Like, you don't know what it's going to do, what it can see. And even he's come around.
Like people are using Facebook and like all these things, and like we've been using it without knowing it.
Yeah. And lots of other people we interact with use it. So
yeah, exactly.
And we need to know that as well, because if we're going to give them our data, and data's the new oil, isn't it? So
yeah. And now I know we're like going on way over time, but the thing is that so with my clients, and I think this is probably valuable for people to hear, is like with my clients, I ask for permission.
Yeah.
Like I'll be recording I try and record all my sessions because it helps me take notes, and it reduces a stress level of being like, just there's well, I find typing notes boring, right? So if I can have something help me do it. And so I ask for permission. If I've got a phone inbound, I'll say, hey, do you mind if I turn my note taker on, please? They're like,
and
for it.
we should, because it's their face and facial recognition software.
Just a phone call as well, like the voice software.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, Bunnings had facial recognition software. And I think they had an excuse that there was a sign up as you walked in that was about
it small?
This big, so no one would have seen that, no one would have understood it. And they got smashed by the Office of the Information and Privacy Commission, because the Privacy Act has changed as well. So now there's higher punishments, and the onus has been pushed down more. So every business has more responsibility and a higher degree that they have to abide by. So
yeah, I've just sent you a message on LinkedIn just now, so I'm connected with you there. But yeah, it's great to chat with you. I'd love to brain about those other things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, any questions with the Pocket Prompt Coach, that thing I built?
Yeah.
Reach out, because I'm curious to learn and prove it, and if it can help you along the way, awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, mate. Catch you later. Apple, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.